Have you ever felt like everyone else seems to be receiving clear guidance from the universe while you're left wondering if you're somehow spiritually tone deaf? Perhaps you've watched others confidently follow synchronicities, interpret dreams, or trust their intuition, while you struggle to discern whether an event is meaningful guidance or mere coincidence. You've read the books on signs and symbols. You've practiced meditation and mindfulness. You've set clear intentions for guidance, and yet the universe's messages remain frustratingly unclear or entirely absent from your experience. If this resonates with you, I have important news. You're not missing signs. You're simply receiving messages in the wrong frequency. What modern neuroscience and quantum research have discovered, and what ancient wisdom traditions have always known, is that cosmic guidance operates through multiple distinct frequency channels, and each human being has a primary receptive channel that's as unique as their fingerprint. Today, I'm going to share the breakthrough research on what scientists call cognitive reception typology, the discovery that people are neurologically wired to receive guidance through specific channels while being nearly blind to others. More importantly, I'll share the precise protocol for identifying your primary reception channel and recalibrating your awareness to receive clear, consistent guidance through it. But before we explore these channels, it's crucial to understand why this frequency mismatch happens at all, because this understanding transforms cosmic communication from a frustrating mystery into a reliable science. Neuroscience has demonstrated that each human brain develops unique neural pathways based on genetics, early childhood experiences, and subsequent life events. These pathways create what researchers call perceptual filters, specific patterns that determine which information reaches conscious awareness and which remains filtered out. These filters aren't just psychological. They're physical structures in the brain that literally determine which frequencies of information you can receive and process. It's similar to how a radio can only receive stations within its tuning range, regardless of how many other broadcasts are filling the airwaves. The challenge isn't that the universe isn't communicating with you. It's that you've been taught to look for guidance in frequencies that your unique neurological system isn't optimized to receive. It's like being given a radio receiver that's built to receive FM signals, but being told to listen for important messages on AM frequencies. No matter how carefully you listen or how important the messages are, you simply can't receive them through a system that isn't designed for that frequency. Let's explore the 7 primary frequency channels through which cosmic guidance operates, and how to determine which one is your natural receptive channel. The visual channel, guidance through imagery. The first frequency channel operates through visual imagery, signs, symbols, patterns, and visual synchronicities that contain guidance. People whose primary receptive channel is visual typically experience guidance through meaningful images that appear repeatedly in their environment, visual patterns that emerge in seemingly random circumstances, dreams with vivid imagery that contains symbolic guidance, spontaneous mental images or visions during meditation or quiet moments. What distinguishes the visual channel is that the guidance arrives primarily as something seen rather than felt, heard, or known. The information is encoded in the visual elements themselves, requiring visual processing to decode. If this is your primary channel, you likely have a highly developed visual cortex and strong neural pathways between your visual processing centers and your prefrontal cortex, the brain's meaning-making center. You probably think in images rather than words, have a good memory for faces and places, and find yourself naturally drawn to visual arts, design, or environments with aesthetic appeal. The challenge for visual receivers is that modern spiritual teachings often emphasize feeling-based guidance like intuitive hits or gut feelings, which can leave visual receivers questioning whether they're receiving guidance at all when they don't experience these sensations strongly. The somatic channel, guidance through body sensations. The second frequency channel operates through physical sensations in the body, what researchers call somatic markers that signal guidance through felt experience. People whose primary receptive channel is somatic typically experience guidance through distinct physical sensations that arise in response to specific choices or situations, gut feelings that provide immediate feedback about decisions or circumstances, energy sensations like tingling, warmth, or coolness in specific body areas, physical relaxation or tension that serves as a guidance system for choices. What distinguishes the somatic channel is that the guidance arrives primarily as something felt in the body rather than seen, heard, or conceptually understood. The information is encoded in the sensations themselves, requiring interoceptive awareness, internal body awareness to decode. If this is your primary channel, you likely have highly developed neural pathways between your insular cortex, which processes internal body sensations, and your limbic system, which processes emotional meaning. You probably make decisions based on how they feel physically, are sensitive to your environment on a physical level, and find yourself naturally drawn to physical practices like dance, yoga, or athletics. The challenge for somatic receivers is that modern spiritual teachings often emphasize visual signs or intellectual insights, which can leave somatic receivers questioning their physical guidance system when they can't articulate the reason behind their felt knowing. The auditory channel, guidance through sound and language. The third frequency channel operates through auditory input, spoken words, sounds, music, or internal dialogue that contains guidance. People whose primary receptive channel is auditory typically experience guidance through overhearing conversations that contain precisely the information they need, songs or lyrics that appear at meaningful moments with relevant messages, internal dialogue that feels distinctly different from their normal thinking, spoken words that stand out with unusual clarity or significance. What distinguishes the auditory channel is that the guidance arrives primarily as something heard rather than seen, felt, or conceptually understood. The information is encoded in the auditory elements themselves, requiring linguistic or sound processing to decode. If this is your primary channel, you likely have highly developed neural pathways between your auditory cortex and your temporal lobe, which processes language and meaning. You probably think in words rather than images, have a good memory for conversations and verbal information, and find yourself naturally drawn to music, language, or sound-rich environments. The challenge for auditory receivers is that modern spiritual teachings often emphasize visual signs or somatic feelings, which can leave auditory receivers questioning whether they're receiving guidance at all when they don't experience these other channels strongly. The conceptual channel, guidance through direct knowing. The fourth frequency channel operates through direct conceptual understanding, sudden insights, clear knowing, or complete understandings that arrive fully formed. People whose primary receptive channel is conceptual typically experience guidance through sudden downloads of understanding that arrive without logical progression, clear knowing about situations or decisions without supporting evidence, comprehensive insights that integrate multiple perspectives simultaneously, conceptual frameworks that spontaneously organize complex information. What distinguishes the conceptual channel is that the guidance arrives primarily as complete understanding rather than as something seen, felt, or heard. The information arrives as fully formed concepts that bypass the normal sequential thinking process. If this is your primary channel, you likely have highly developed neural pathways between your default mode network, the brain's integrative system, and your prefrontal cortex. You probably process information in holistic patterns rather than sequential details, have a good memory for concepts and systems, and find yourself naturally drawn to philosophy, theoretical sciences, or big-picture thinking. The challenge for conceptual receivers is that modern spiritual teachings often emphasize tangible signs or physical sensations, which can leave conceptual receivers questioning their direct knowing when they can't point to specific external evidence for their insights. The synchronistic channel, guidance through meaningful coincidences. The fifth frequency channel operates through patterns of meaningful coincidences, what Carl Jung called synchronicities that contain guidance through their timing and relevance. People whose primary receptive channel is synchronistic typically experience guidance through improbable coincidences that contain precisely relevant information or opportunities, patterns of events that create meaningful sequences beyond statistical probability, recurring themes or situations that appear across seemingly unrelated contexts, right place, right time, experiences that occur with unusual frequency. What distinguishes the synchronistic channel is that the guidance arrives primarily through the pattern of external events rather than through internal sensations, perceptions, or understanding. The information is encoded in the relationships between events, requiring pattern recognition to decode. If this is your primary channel, you likely have highly developed neural pathways between your hippocampus, which processes episodic memory, and your anterior cingulate cortex, which detects patterns and inconsistencies. You probably notice connections between seemingly unrelated events, have a good memory for the timing and sequence of occurrences, and find yourself naturally drawn to systems thinking, probability, or complex pattern recognition. The challenge for synchronistic receivers is that modern spiritual teachings often emphasize internal states or perceptions, which can leave synchronistic receivers questioning their external pattern recognition when they don't experience strong internal signals. The emotional channel, guidance through feeling tones. The sixth frequency channel operates through emotional states and feeling tones, distinct emotional signatures that signal guidance through their quality and timing. People whose primary receptive channel is emotional typically experience guidance through sudden shifts in emotional state that correspond to specific choices or situations. Distinct feeling tones that provide qualitative information about circumstances, emotional resonance or dissonance with people, places, or possibilities. Persistent, emotional states that signal alignment or misalignment with their path. What distinguishes the emotional channel is that the guidance arrives primarily as emotional quality rather than as something seen, heard, or conceptually understood. The information is encoded in the emotional tone itself, requiring emotional intelligence to decode. If this is your primary channel, you likely have highly developed neural pathways between your limbic system and your insular cortex. You probably make decisions based on emotional resonance, have a good memory for how events made you feel, and find yourself naturally drawn to emotionally rich experiences, relationships, or creative expressions. The challenge for emotional receivers is that modern spiritual teachings often emphasize rational insights or physical signs, which can leave emotional receivers questioning their feeling-based guidance when they can't provide logical explanations for their choices. The dreamtime channel, guidance through dream states. The seventh frequency channel operates through dream states, symbolic narratives, visitations, or direct communications that occur during sleep or hypnagogic states. People whose primary receptive channel is dreamtime typically experience guidance through vivid, memorable dreams that contain symbolic guidance or direct messages, recurring dream themes or symbols that evolve over time with developing meaning. Visitation dreams, where guides, ancestors, or higher beings provide direct counsel, lucid or semi-lucid states, where they receive information or training. What distinguishes the dreamtime channel is that the guidance arrives primarily during altered states of consciousness rather than during normal waking awareness. The information is encoded in dream symbols and narratives, requiring dream literacy to decode. If this is your primary channel, you likely have highly developed neural pathways between your default mode network and your visual and emotional processing centers. You probably have rich dream recall, notice meaningful patterns in your dreams, and find yourself naturally drawn to dream work, shamanic practices, or other altered state explorations. The challenge for dreamtime receivers is that modern spiritual teachings often emphasize waking state guidance, which can leave dreamtime receivers questioning their dream guidance when they don't receive equally clear messages during their waking hours. Identifying your primary reception channel. Now that we've explored the 7 primary channels, how do you determine which one is your natural frequency for receiving cosmic guidance? Research suggests a 3-part assessment process. First, the retrospective analysis. Think back to the 3 to 5 most significant instances when you received clear guidance that proved accurate. Examine exactly how this guidance came to you. Was it primarily something you saw, felt, heard, knew, experienced as coincidence, felt emotionally, or dreamed? Look for patterns across these experiences rather than focusing on any single instance. Second, the neurological preference inventory. Consider your general cognitive preferences outside of spiritual contexts. How do you naturally process information in daily life? Do you think in images, sensations, words, concepts, patterns, emotions, or dream symbols? Your primary reception channel typically aligns with your dominant cognitive processing style. Third, the resonance test. As you read the descriptions of each channel, notice which one created the strongest sense of recognition or "that's me" response in your body and awareness. This intuitive resonance often accurately identifies your primary channel even before conscious analysis confirms it. Most people have one primary channel and 1 to 2 secondary channels through which they can receive guidance with some training and attention. The remaining channels tend to be much weaker and may require significant development to become reliable sources of guidance. The frequency recalibration protocol. Once you've identified your primary reception channel, the next step is to recalibrate your awareness to receive clear, consistent guidance through it. This involves a 3-phase protocol. Phase 1, channel clearing, days 1 to 7. The first phase involves clearing interference from your primary channel, removing the static that prevents clear reception. This interference typically comes from 3 sources: conditioned expectations, beliefs about how guidance should come based on books, teachers, or others' experiences, channel confusion, attempting to force reception through non-dominant channels, environmental noise, physical and energetic factors that create static in your receptive system. The clearing process involves a daily 12-minute practice. First, conscious disengagement, 3 minutes. Systematically release expectations about how guidance should arrive. Visualize or sense yourself setting aside books, teachings, and others' experiences that have created a template for how guidance should work. Second, channel differentiation, 5 minutes. Mentally review each of the 7 channels, acknowledging which ones are not your primary pathway. For each non-primary channel, create a clear statement such as, I release the expectation that I should receive clear guidance through channel. I acknowledge that this is not my primary reception frequency. Third, environmental clearing, 4 minutes. Create physical and energetic space that supports clear reception through your primary channel. This might involve reducing specific types of sensory input, creating particular environmental conditions, or engaging in practices that enhance receptivity in your dominant channel. Phase 2, channel activation, days 8 to 21. The second phase involves actively strengthening and tuning your primary reception channel, enhancing its sensitivity and clarity. This activation process is customized to each specific channel. For visual channel receivers, implement daily practices that strengthen the neural pathways between visual processing and meaning-making. This includes visualization exercises, symbol work, and conscious attention to visual patterns in your environment. For somatic channel receivers, implement daily practices that enhance interoceptive awareness and body-based intelligence. This includes body scanning, somatic tracking during decisions, and conscious development of your physical sensation vocabulary. For auditory channel receivers, implement daily practices that refine your ability to distinguish significant sounds and words from background noise. This includes focused listening exercises, verbal journaling, and attention to meaningful language patterns. For conceptual channel receivers, implement daily practices that enhance direct knowing and conceptual integration. This includes contemplative inquiry, concept mapping, and exercises that bypass sequential thinking to access holistic understanding. For synchronistic channel receivers, implement daily practices that strengthen pattern recognition across time and circumstance. This includes synchronicity journaling, probability tracking, and exercises that enhance your ability to detect meaningful connections. For emotional channel receivers, implement daily practices that refine emotional discernment and feeling tone recognition. This includes emotional tracking, feeling tone mapping, and exercises that distinguish guidance emotions from reactive emotions. For dreamtime channel receivers, implement daily practices that enhance dream recall and interpretation. This includes dream journaling, pre-sleep intention setting, and techniques for maintaining awareness during dream states. The activation process involves a daily 15-minute practice focused specifically on your primary channel, preferably at the same time each day to establish a consistent reception window. Phase 3, channel integration, days 22 to 40. The third phase involves integrating your enhanced reception channel into your daily decision-making and life navigation, moving from occasional guidance to consistent cosmic communication. This integration process involves 3 key practices. First, the daily reception window. Establish a consistent 5 to 10-minute period each day specifically dedicated to receiving guidance through your primary channel. During this time, create optimal conditions for clear reception and maintain open receptive awareness without forcing specific outcomes. Second, the decision consultation. Before making significant decisions, consciously engage your primary reception channel using the specific protocol that works best for that channel. Document the guidance received and its implementation results to refine your interpretation accuracy over time. Third, the feedback loop. Create a system for tracking the accuracy and utility of guidance received through your primary channel. This creates a positive reinforcement cycle that further strengthens the neural pathways involved in cosmic communication. The integration phase transforms cosmic guidance from an occasional seemingly random occurrence to a reliable resource for navigating your life path with greater alignment and flow. The 7 reception protocols to help you implement this recalibration process effectively. Here are the specific protocols for working with each primary reception channel. Visual channel protocol for those whose primary reception channel is visual. Implement this daily practice during the activation and integration phases. Visual attunement, 3 to 5 minutes. Begin by gazing softly at a candle flame, mandala, or natural scene. Allow your visual field to soften and expand, creating receptivity in your visual processing system. Guidance, visualization, 5 to 7 minutes. With eyes closed, visualize a screen, window, or other visual space where guidance can appear. Ask a specific question, then allow images, symbols, colors, or scenes to emerge without forcing or directing them. Pay particular attention to the first images that appear, as these are typically the most accurate. Visual journaling, 3 to 5 minutes. Immediately record the visual elements that appeared, either through drawing, writing descriptions, or both. Note any immediate interpretations that arise without overthinking or analyzing. For decision-making, implement the visual comparison technique. Visualize each potential choice or path, and pay attention to the quality of imagery that emerges for each option. Notice differences in clarity, color, brightness, and your emotional response to each visual representation. Somatic channel protocol. For those whose primary reception channel is somatic, implement this daily practice during the activation and integration phases. Body centering, 3 to 5 minutes. Begin with a systematic body scan from feet to head, establishing clear awareness of your current physical state. This creates a baseline for recognizing guidance sensations. Somatic inquiry, 5 to 7 minutes. Bring a specific question or situation to mind, then pay attention to the physical sensations that arise in your body. Notice areas of expansion or contraction, temperature changes, energy movements, or other physical responses. Allow these sensations to evolve without judgment or interpretation. Sensation mapping, 3 to 5 minutes. Document the specific sensations you experienced, noting their location, quality, intensity, and any meaning that spontaneously arises from them. Over time, you'll develop a personal somatic vocabulary that translates physical sensations into specific guidance. For decision-making, implement the alternating attention technique. Hold each potential choice or path in awareness for 30 to 60 seconds while paying close attention to your body's response. Create clear separation between options by returning to neutral awareness before considering the next alternative. Auditory channel protocol. For those whose primary reception channel is auditory, implement this daily practice during the activation and integration phases. Sound clearing, 3 to 5 minutes. Begin with a period of external silence or consistent neutral sound, like white noise or gentle nature sounds. This creates a clear auditory field for reception. Receptive listening, 5 to 7 minutes. Ask a specific question either silently or aloud, then enter a state of receptive listening. Pay attention to internal words or phrases that arise, external sounds that occur at meaningful moments, or shifts in the quality of the ambient soundscape. Verbal capture, 3 to 5 minutes. Immediately record any words, phrases, sounds, or auditory impressions you received without editing or analyzing. Speak them aloud if possible before writing them down, as this reinforces the auditory channel. For decision-making, implement the dialogue technique. Create an internal dialogue about each potential choice, allowing responses to emerge that feel distinctly different from your normal thinking voice. Pay attention to tone, clarity, and resonance rather than just content. Conceptual channel protocol. For those whose primary reception channel is conceptual, implement this daily practice during the activation and integration phases. Mind clearing, 3 to 5 minutes. Begin by releasing analytical thinking and creating mental spaciousness. This might involve a brief meditation focused on emptying the mind of predetermined concepts and expectations. Conceptual receptivity, 5 to 7 minutes. Hold a specific question or situation in open awareness without actively trying to solve or understand it. Allow complete concepts, frameworks, or understandings to arise spontaneously. Pay attention to insights that arrive whole rather than being constructed piece by piece. Concept mapping, 3 to 5 minutes. Document the conceptual understanding that emerged, preferably in a non-linear format, such as a mind map, diagram, or free-form writing. Capture the essence of the understanding before it becomes diluted by analytical thinking. For decision-making, implement the holistic comparison technique. Allow a complete understanding of each potential choice to emerge in your awareness, including its implications, alignment with your path, and likely outcomes. Notice which option generates the clearest and most coherent conceptual framework. Synchronistic channel protocol. For those whose primary reception channel is synchronistic, implement this daily practice during the activation and integration phases. Pattern awareness, 3 to 5 minutes. Begin by reviewing recent events, noting any patterns, repetitions, or meaningful coincidences that have occurred in the past 24 to 48 hours. This activates your pattern recognition systems. Synchronicity. Invitation, 5 to 7 minutes. Formulate a specific question or area where guidance is needed. Then create a clear request for synchronistic guidance within a specific time frame, usually 24 to 72 hours. Set a clear marker that will help you recognize the response when it occurs. Event tracking, 3 to 5 minutes. Throughout the designated time frame, maintain heightened awareness of unusual, improbable, or meaningful events that relate to your question. Document these occurrences immediately when they happen. For decision-making, implement the synchronistic testing technique. For each potential choice, create a specific synchronicity marker, such as if this is the right path, I'll encounter specific sign within the next 3 days. Track which options generate confirming synchronicities. Emotional channel protocol. For those whose primary reception channel is emotional, implement this daily practice during the activation and integration phases. Emotional clearing, 3 to 5 minutes. Begin by acknowledging and releasing current emotional states, particularly those related to stress, worry, or external pressures. This creates a clear emotional field for reception. Feeling tone receptivity, 5 to 7 minutes. Bring a specific question or situation to mind, then pay attention to the emotional quality that emerges in response. Focus on the feeling tone itself rather than any mental narrative about the situation. Allow the emotional signature to evolve and clarify. Emotional mapping, 3 to 5 minutes. Document the specific emotional qualities you experienced, noting their texture, depth, movement, and any meaning that spontaneously arises from them. Over time, you'll develop a personal emotional vocabulary that translates feeling tones into specific guidance. For decision-making, implement the emotional resonance technique. Hold each potential choice or path in awareness while paying close attention to the emotional quality it generates. Look for the option that creates the clearest sense of emotional alignment, regardless of logical considerations. Dreamtime channel protocol. For those whose primary reception channel is dreamtime, implement this daily practice during the activation and integration phases. Dream incubation, 3 to 5 minutes before sleep. Formulate a specific question or area where guidance is needed. Then create a clear request for dream guidance. This is most effective when done immediately before sleep, while in a relaxed, receptive state. Dream recall, 3 to 5 minutes upon waking. Upon waking, whether from night sleep or a nap, remain in the hypnopompic state between sleeping and waking, while gently bringing dream content into conscious awareness. Avoid sudden movements or engaging with external stimuli. until dream content is retrieved. Dream documentation, 5 to 7 minutes. Record dream content as completely as possible, focusing first on narrative elements and emotional tones, then on symbols and potential meanings. Make this documentation before engaging with daily activities that might override dream memory. For decision-making, implement the dream comparison technique. Request specific dream guidance about different options or paths over several nights. Look for recurring symbols, emotional tones, or narrative patterns that provide consistent guidance across multiple dreams. The frequency matching phenomenon. As you implement the protocol specific to your primary reception channel, you'll likely experience what researchers call the frequency matching phenomenon, a progressive improvement in the clarity, consistency, and accuracy of the guidance you receive. This occurs because you're creating what neuroscientists call neural entrainment, training your brain to recognize and process information coming through your optimal channel, while filtering out interference from less dominant channels. The frequency matching typically progresses through 3 distinct phases. In the initial phase, typically the first 7 to 14 days, you'll experience what researchers call signal recognition, beginning to distinguish genuine guidance through your primary channel from random noise or imagination. This phase often includes some uncertainty and questioning, as you learn to trust your natural reception system. In the intermediate phase, typically 15 to 30 days, you'll develop greater clarity and consistency in reception. Guidance becomes more specific, arrives more reliably when needed, and proves increasingly accurate when implemented. This builds confidence in your reception system and creates positive reinforcement for continued development. In the advanced phase, generally 30+ days, the communication becomes increasingly sophisticated. You may receive more complex guidance, experience two-way communication rather than passive reception, and develop the ability to initiate contact rather than waiting for messages to arrive. The relationship evolves from occasional guidance to ongoing dialogue. It's important to understand that this development process isn't about acquiring a new skill, but about removing interference from a natural capacity you already possess. Every human being is born with the ability to receive cosmic guidance. It's part of our fundamental design as conscious beings within a conscious universe. The challenge is that most of us have been trained to ignore, dismiss, or misinterpret the guidance we're already receiving, particularly when it comes through channels that aren't culturally validated or personally recognized. Common obstacles and solutions as you work with your primary reception channel. You may encounter several common obstacles. Here are the most frequent challenges and their solutions. Channel switching. The challenge: you identify your primary channel, but find yourself constantly checking other channels for confirmation or validation. This creates interference and dilutes the clarity of your reception. The solution: implement what researchers call channel discipline, a conscious commitment to focus exclusively on your primary channel for at least 30 days before incorporating secondary channels. This allows your primary system to develop without interference. Interpretation anxiety. The challenge: you receive clear signals through your primary channel, but struggle with doubting or second-guessing your interpretation of them. This creates a gap between reception and implementation. The solution: implement the act small, observe large approach. Take small actions based on your initial interpretation, then observe the results without attachment. This creates a feedback loop that refines your interpretation skills without the pressure of major decisions. Inconsistent practice. The challenge: you practice working with your primary channel sporadically rather than consistently, which prevents the development of strong neural pathways for reception. The solution: implement what neuroscientists call minimum effective consistency, a shorter daily practice. Even just 5 to 10 minutes is far more effective than longer sessions performed irregularly. Set a specific time each day for your practice and treat it as a non-negotiable appointment. Environmental interference. The challenge: your physical or energetic environment creates static that interferes with clear reception through your primary channel. The solution: identify the specific environmental factors that support or hinder your reception channel, then create what researchers call a reception sanctuary, a physical space and set of conditions optimized for your specific channel. This might involve considerations of sound, light, electromagnetic fields, physical comfort, or energetic clearing depending on your primary channel. Expectation management. The challenge: you expect guidance to arrive in specific forms or time frames, which creates tension and interference in the reception process. The solution: implement what spiritual traditions call receptive surrender, a state of open awareness without specific expectations about how or when guidance will arrive. This creates the optimal conditions for your natural reception system to operate without interference from the analytical mind. The integrated guidance system. While I've focused on identifying and developing your primary reception channel, it's important to understand that the ultimate goal is an integrated guidance system that incorporates multiple channels working in harmony. In the advanced stages of development, typically after 60 to 90 days of working with your primary channel, you can begin to incorporate secondary channels as complementary sources of guidance. This creates what researchers call cross-channel validation, receiving similar guidance through different channels, which significantly increases confidence and accuracy. The most effective approach to developing this integrated system follows a specific sequence. First, establish clear reception through your primary channel until it becomes reliable and consistent. Second, identify your strongest secondary channel and begin developing it while maintaining your primary practice. Third, create specific protocols for cross-channel validation, particularly for major decisions or life directions. Fourth, continue expanding to include additional channels as your reception system develops, always maintaining priority on channels that naturally function best for your unique neurological system. This progressive development creates a comprehensive guidance system that provides both the clarity of specialized reception and the confidence of multi-channel validation. If you feel drawn to identify and develop your primary reception channel, I invite you to begin with the retrospective analysis I described earlier. This examination of how guidance has naturally come to you in the past creates the foundation for all subsequent development. And if you've already identified your primary channel through this video, drop the word tuning, followed by your channel type in the comments below. This isn't just for engagement, it's a way of declaring your commitment to developing your natural reception system. And if you're new to this channel, subscribe to join a community of people who are exploring the frontiers of consciousness and cosmic communication. Because the truth is, the universe is constantly speaking to you through your optimal frequency channel, offering guidance, confirmation, and support for your journey. The only question is, are you listening on the right frequency? The ancient Hermetic axiom, know thyself, perhaps applies most powerfully to understanding your unique design for receiving cosmic guidance. When you align with your natural reception channel, rather than forcing yourself into someone else's model, the guidance you've been seeking suddenly becomes clear, consistent, and unmistakably meant for you.